Have you ever considered how fragile life can become after reaching a certain age? You may feel healthy, active, and full of energy, but what if your body is concealing silent threats that could strike without warning? Picture waking up one day, feeling just a bit more tired than usual, or noticing a slight dizziness when standing up, only to realize too late that these were the early signs of a life-threatening condition. The truth is, sudden death in older adults isn't as random as it might seem. There are 5 major triggers, silent killers that many people dismiss until it's too late. These aren't just statistics, they are real dangers that impact millions of seniors around the world. The most troubling part? Many of these conditions show no noticeable warning signs. But here's the good news. Once you recognize these triggers, you can take swift action to protect yourself and your loved ones. This video isn't just about raising awareness, it's about offering you real solutions. By the time you finish watching, you'll have the knowledge to reduce these risks and potentially add years to your life. So don't let this valuable information slip away. Stay with me until the end, and if you find this helpful, please subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share this with someone who might benefit from it. Your support helps us create more content that could save lives. Now let's jump in, because what you learn today could be the key to a long, healthy life or an avoidable health crisis. Trigger 1. Silent heart attacks. Have you ever wondered if your heart might be signaling danger without you even noticing it? Most people imagine heart attacks as sudden, dramatic events, an overwhelming pain in the chest, a sudden collapse, a frantic rush to the hospital. But what if I told you a heart attack could happen and go unnoticed? A silent heart attack is exactly that. A condition that can weaken your heart without the obvious symptoms you might expect. This hidden threat is more common than you might think, particularly among older adults. The real question is, would you recognize it if it happened to you? I once dismissed ongoing fatigue as just another sign of getting older. I thought feeling winded sometimes it was perfectly normal. But the truth is, our bodies often send us quiet warnings before they erupt, and too often we fail to listen. It hit me hard when I discovered just how many people experience heart attacks without even realizing it, only to face serious consequences much later. Research shows that silent heart attacks account for nearly 45% of all heart attacks, often going undetected until severe complications arise. Unlike the classic heart attack with unmistakable chest pain, silent heart attacks present more subtle, less clear symptoms: fatigue, dizziness, mild discomfort in the back, jaw, or upper stomach. The American Heart Association reports that older adults, especially those with diabetes or high blood pressure, face a much higher risk. Without the dramatic signs, many of these individuals simply ignore their symptoms, assuming they're minor issues. Take Richard's story, for instance, a 74-year-old retiree who loved his daily walks and occasional rounds of golf. One morning, he began feeling unusually tired, needing to rest more often. He also noticed a slight shortness of breath and some tightness in his upper back, but nothing alarming. He thought it was just aging or maybe a lack of sleep. A few weeks later, without any warning, Richard collapsed while walking in his garden. The paramedics arrived swiftly, but the damage had already been done. Doctors later determined that Richard had suffered a silent heart attack weeks earlier, which had weakened his heart. The second attack, far more severe, might have been avoided if the first one had been detected. This is why awareness matters. The signs may seem mild, but they are far from insignificant. Your body is always speaking to you. You just need to learn to listen. Regular checkups can reveal heart damage early, even if you don't feel unwell. Simple tests like an ECG or blood work can uncover problems you might not notice. Recognizing subtle signs like unexplained fatigue, dizziness, nausea, or discomfort in the jaw or stomach could be the key to preventing a life-changing crisis. Now, the big question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you wait until the symptoms become undeniable, or will you take control of your health today? Start by scheduling a checkup. Make daily choices that support your heart. Stay active, eat healthy, manage your stress, and above all, pay attention to the signals your body sends. You don't need a dramatic wake-up call to start caring for your heart. You just need to listen, take action, and protect yourself before it's too late. Heart disease isn't the only silent danger we face as we get older. Another significant risk is something many people don't think about until it's too late. Falls caused by postural hypotension. Just as with silent heart attacks, this risk doesn't always come with dramatic symptoms, but its consequences can be severe. Imagine standing up and suddenly feeling dizzy, losing your balance and falling. It's a frightening reality, but one that many seniors experience every year. Here's how you can protect yourself from this silent risk. Trigger 2. Postural hypotension and deadly falls. You rise from your chair, just like you've done countless times before, but this time something is different. The room shifts, your legs feel weak, and for a brief moment, the world seems to tilt in an unfamiliar way. Your heart races as you try to steady yourself. Before you can even process what's happening, you're reaching out, grabbing for anything to hold on to. A fall, a brief loss of control that for some becomes a life-altering event. I know this feeling all too well. Several years ago, I had my own scare. 1 second, I was simply getting up from my chair, and the next, I was on the floor, my head ringing from the sudden fall. At that moment, I wasn't just an older man who had tripped. I was a man confronting the harsh reality of how fragile our bodies can become over time. That fall served as my wake-up call, and I was fortunate, but many others aren't as lucky. Postural hypotension, a sudden drop in blood pressure when standing up, is a silent danger for seniors. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, 1 in 4 Americans aged 65 and older experiences a fall each year. These falls aren't just minor trips. They're the leading cause of both fatal and non-fatal injuries among older adults. A study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that people with postural hypotension are much more likely to experience serious injuries, such as hip fractures and traumatic brain injuries. Let me tell you about George. He's 78, a retired history teacher who treasures his morning coffee and a peaceful moment with the newspaper. One day, after sitting for a while, he stood up too quickly. The dizziness hit him before he could react. In an instant, he was on the floor, his hips shattered. What followed was a lengthy hospital stay, complications from surgery, and months of physical therapy. But the hardest part wasn't just the pain, it was losing his independence. Before the fall, George was proud of his daily walks and weekend gardening. After his injury, even simple tasks like getting out of bed became overwhelming. This doesn't have to be your reality. You have the power to protect yourself and your loved ones. The solution isn't complex, but it requires awareness and small adjustments to your daily habits. Start with something as simple as standing up slowly. Give your body time to adjust. Pause before walking. Let your balance settle and take deep breaths. Hydration is also essential. Dehydration can exacerbate blood pressure fluctuations, making dizziness more likely. Keep a glass of water nearby throughout the day and prioritize staying hydrated. Medication could also be an unseen contributor. Some blood pressure medications, diuretics, or antidepressants may increase the risk of postural hypotension. If you've ever felt lightheaded after standing, talk to your doctor about reviewing your prescriptions. Adjusting dosage or timing could help reduce the risk. Your home environment should work in your favor as well. Cluttered floors, loose rugs, and poor lighting can all increase the chances of falling. Take a moment to assess your living space and make small changes. Secure carpets, install grab bars in high-risk areas like the bathroom, and ensure hallways are well lit. Now picture your next step. The next time you rise from a chair, pay attention. Take it slow. A few seconds of care could save you from months or even years of recovery. Remember, every small action counts, and if you know someone who may be at risk, share this with them. A simple conversation could make the difference between a close call and a devastating fall. You're not just getting older, you're getting wiser. Use that wisdom to protect yourself. Falls are one of the most immediate physical dangers we face, but there's another threat that can creep up even when we're sitting still. Deep vein thrombosis, or DVT. This hidden condition can develop when we remain inactive for long periods, such as sitting for hours at a time, and lead to dangerous blood clots. DVT can sometimes be mistaken for something minor, but the potential consequences can be life-threatening. Let's dive into how this condition can affect you and what steps you can take to prevent it. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment, Number 2 inches below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support allows us to continue sharing valuable insights and inspiration with you. Let's keep moving forward together. Trigger 3. Deep vein thrombosis. You might not think twice about that slight swelling in your calf or the occasional cramp in your leg. Perhaps you've been sitting at your desk for hours, absorbed in work or relaxing in your favorite chair, engrossed in a book. It seems harmless, right? But what if that discomfort was a quiet warning of something far more serious? What if deep inside your veins, a hidden danger was forming, one that could change your life in an instant? I recall a time when I too brushed off my body's signals. Years ago, after a long flight, I felt an unusual tightness in my leg. It was bothersome, but nothing I thought needed urgent attention. I dismissed it, thinking a little stretching would resolve it. It wasn't until a close friend shared his frightening experience with deep vein thrombosis, DVT, that I realized how careless I had been. That was a turning point. I started paying more attention to my body and made small yet significant changes. Deep vein thrombosis, or DVT, occurs when a blood clot forms in the deep veins, often in the legs. The real danger doesn't lie in the clot itself, but in what happens if it breaks loose and travels to the lungs, causing a pulmonary embolism, a potentially life-threatening event. Despite its seriousness, DVT is often overlooked because its symptoms are frequently mistaken for ordinary aches or swelling from prolonged inactivity. Research has shown that DVT is more common than many people realize. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, as many as 900,000 people in the U.S. are affected by DVT or pulmonary embolism annually, with approximately 100,000 fatalities. Studies have identified prolonged immobility, dehydration, obesity, and certain medical conditions as key risk factors. Aging also plays a role. As we age, circulation slows and veins lose their elasticity, increasing the risk of clot formation. Harold's story is one I'll never forget. A retired teacher and avid reader, Harold, at 76, spent most of his days in his recliner, lost in books. Reading brought him joy, but it also meant sitting for long stretches. One day, he noticed mild swelling in his calf. It wasn't painful, just a bit uncomfortable. He thought nothing of it and continued his usual routine. Days later, without warning, he collapsed. His wife called for help, but the clot had already traveled to his lungs, cutting off his oxygen. Despite medical efforts, Harold didn't survive. His family later learned that something as simple as standing up more often, staying hydrated, or noticing the early symptoms could have saved him. The good news is that DVT is largely preventable. You can protect yourself by making simple, proactive choices. Stand up and move regularly, even if it's just walking around your house every hour. If you're sitting for long periods, whether reading, watching TV, or working, flex your ankles and stretch your legs. Staying hydrated is another key factor. Drinking enough water prevents your blood from thickening and reduces the risk of clotting. And most importantly, listen to your body. If you notice persistent swelling, redness, warmth in your legs, or unexplained shortness of breath, don't ignore it. Seek medical attention immediately. You might think, this won't happen to me, but why take that chance? You still have so many moments to enjoy, stories to read, and conversations to have. Make the simple changes today that could save your life tomorrow. Stand up, stretch, drink that glass of water. Your health is your greatest wealth, and it's worth protecting. While DVT can happen when we're sedentary, infections are another common, but often overlooked danger. A small infection can quickly spiral into something much worse, like sepsis, which can be fatal if not treated promptly. What's especially alarming is that older adults often have a harder time recognizing the signs of sepsis, making it even more dangerous. It's critical to understand the warning signs and how to act quickly if an infection becomes severe. Here's how infections can escalate and how you can protect yourself. Trigger 4. Undetected infections leading to sepsis. You might think a minor infection is nothing to be concerned about. A slight fever, a little fatigue, it's easy to dismiss as something that will pass. But what if ignoring these small warning signs leads to something far more dangerous? What if, by brushing off what seems insignificant, you unknowingly invite a silent killer into your body? The truth is, infections can worsen without warning, and when they do, the consequences can be devastating. I remember a time when I didn't think much of a minor health issue. A small cough, a little fatigue. Nothing to worry about, I convinced myself. But within days, I found myself in a hospital bed, struggling to breathe. What started as a mild infection had rapidly taken over my body in a way I hadn't anticipated. The doctors diagnosed me with pneumonia and told me that, had I waited much longer, it could have turned into something much worse. Sepsis. That moment forever changed how I approached my health. I realized how quickly an undetected infection could escalate into a life-threatening situation, especially at my age. Sepsis is a severe, life-threatening reaction to an infection that can lead to organ failure and even death if not treated in time. In elderly individuals, common infections, such as urinary tract infections, UTIs, or pneumonia, can quickly progress to sepsis due to a weakened immune system. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, nearly 270,000 people in the United States die from sepsis each year, with older adults being especially vulnerable. The issue often arises because early symptoms of sepsis can be mistaken for general aging-related fatigue or mild illness, delaying critical medical care. Consider Walter's story, a resilient 81-year-old man who was fiercely independent. When he noticed frequent urination with a mild burning sensation, he dismissed it as nothing more than a minor inconvenience. He'd dealt with small discomforts before. Why would this be any different? But within days, he became increasingly fatigued, and confusion began to set in. He had trouble remembering simple things, felt unsteady on his feet, and couldn't shake the growing sense of unease. By the time he sought medical attention, the infection had already spread into his bloodstream. Walter had developed sepsis, and his body was fighting a losing battle. Doctors quickly intervened, administering intravenous antibiotics and fluids to stabilize him. He was fortunate to make it to the hospital in time, but the experience left him shaken. The reality of how close he had come to a life-threatening outcome was sobering. The good news is that sepsis is preventable. Early detection and proactive healthcare are key. If you experience even mild symptoms of infection, such as persistent fever, increased fatigue, or unusual confusion, take action immediately. Don't brush off discomfort, especially if it lingers. Seeking medical care early can make all the difference between a quick recovery and a life-threatening situation. Vaccination is another important step in prevention. Pneumonia and flu vaccines greatly reduce the risk of infections that could lead to sepsis. Many older adults hesitate to get vaccinated, thinking they are healthy enough to avoid illness. But as we age, our immune system weakens, making it more difficult to fight off even common infections. Taking preventative steps today can protect your future health. Most importantly, stay vigilant. Pay attention to your body, listen to the signs it sends you, and don't hesitate to seek help if something feels off. You have the power to protect yourself by acting early. Make your health a priority because your life and the time you spend with your loved ones depends on it. As we focus on preventing infections, we can't ignore another risk that many people overlook: medication mismanagement. As we age, we often take multiple medications, which can sometimes interact in dangerous ways. Missing a dose, doubling up on a pill, or mixing medications without realizing the potential consequences can lead to serious health issues. Let's explore how medication errors can happen and what you can do to ensure you're taking your medications safely. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 inches below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Trigger 5, medication mismanagement. Have you ever thought about whether the very medications meant to help you could actually be putting you at risk? As we get older, managing multiple prescriptions becomes a daily task, but many people don't realize how easily a small mistake can lead to life-threatening consequences. A missed dose, an accidental double dose, or a dangerous drug interaction can lead to severe complications, like internal bleeding, strokes, or heart failure. The scariest part? These incidents often happen quietly, without warning, until it's too late. Could this be happening to you or someone you love without even realizing it? I've always believed in the importance of following my doctor's instructions, but I'll admit, there were times I didn't think twice about taking an extra pill for a headache or skipping a dose when I felt fine. It wasn't until I heard stories of people suffering serious consequences from simple medication errors that I realized just how much we take prescription safety for granted. Research shows that nearly 40% of older adults take 5 or more medications each day, a condition known as polypharmacy. According to the CDC, medication mismanagement leads to over 100,000 emergency visits every year in the United States alone. The issue isn't just overdoses, it's also about the silent damage caused when medications interact in unexpected ways. For example, combining blood thinners with certain pain relievers can lead to fatal internal bleeding. Some blood pressure medications, when mixed with common over-the-counter drugs, can cause dangerously low blood pressure, dizziness, and falls. Yet most people don't realize these risks until they experience them personally. Take Helen's story, for example. She's 82 and had been managing her high blood pressure well for years. She followed her prescriptions carefully, never missing a dose. One evening, after experiencing mild joint pain, she reached for an over-the-counter painkiller, something millions of people do without a second thought. She didn't know that combining this painkiller with her blood pressure medication could cause severe gastrointestinal bleeding. The next morning, she felt weak and dizzy, but shrugged it off, thinking it was just fatigue. By evening, she collapsed. When she was taken to the hospital, doctors discovered that internal bleeding had caused her rapid decline. A simple consultation with her pharmacist could have spared her from this frightening experience. This is why managing medications properly isn't just a suggestion, it's absolutely necessary. You might think you're managing your prescriptions correctly, but a single overlooked interaction or mistake can put your health at great risk. Keeping a full and up-to-date medication list ensures all your doctors know exactly what you're taking, including over-the-counter drugs and supplements. Using a pill organizer may seem insignificant, but it can prevent you from accidentally missing a dose or taking the same medication twice. Before adding anything new to your routine, even something as harmless as aspirin, talk to your pharmacist. It could be the difference between staying safe and experiencing a medical emergency. So what steps will you take today to protect yourself? Will you continue assuming that medication mistakes only happen to others? Or will you take charge of your health by making small but important changes? Start by reviewing your prescriptions, organizing your pills, and making it a habit to ask questions before introducing anything new into your routine. Your health is too important to leave to chance. Take control of it today. As we've learned today, the key to a long and healthy life lies in staying aware of the silent risks that come with aging. Whether it's silent heart attacks, postural hypotension, deep vein thrombosis, undetected infections, or medication mismanagement, these dangers are often overlooked, but they can be managed with the right knowledge and proactive steps. By recognizing the signs, taking care of our health, and staying alert, we can avoid these threats and continue living a fulfilling life. The lesson here is simple. Your health is in your hands. Small adjustments such as scheduling regular checkups, staying hydrated, being mindful of your medications, and listening to your body's signals can make a world of difference. Don't wait for a wake-up call. Act now to protect yourself and your loved ones. If you found this information helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave a comment below. Let us know how you take care of your health or share your thoughts with us. You can also click the like button if you want to see more videos like this one. Your engagement helps us create more content to keep you informed and healthy. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Stay safe, stay healthy, and take care until then.